What is it that you have within you that you showed up to bring? Hey, Les, you don't know, but my dream is a long shot.
If you clicked on this video, you're already ahead of the majority because you're looking for growth. Welcome to Epic Motivation. Let's get started.
A friend of mine, Dexter Yeager, said when the dream is big enough, the odds don't matter. I'm reminded of a great man. When I was reading Time magazine talking about some of the great minds of the last century, they didn't mention his name, Dr. Howard Thurman, one of the mentors of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and also an advisor to Mahatma Gandhi and Albert Schweitzer. And he said, the ideal situation for a man or woman to die is to have family members standing around their bed praying with them as they cross over. But imagine, if you will, being on your deathbed and standing around your bed, the dreams given to you by life, the ideas that you never acted on, the talents, the gifts, the abilities that you never used. And there they are, standing around your bed, looking at you with large, angry eyes, saying, we came to you, and only you could have given us life. And now we must die with you forever. And the question is, if you died this very moment, what will die with you? What dreams, what ideas, what talents, what leadership potential, what greatness that you showed up to bring, that you allowed fear or procrastination to hold you back. Perhaps that's why Henry David Thoreau wrote the words, oh God, to reach the point of death, only to realize that you've never lived, only to realize that you've never scraped the surface of your potential. You survived 1 out of 40 million sperms. You will never have those odds again. You beat those odds, you can win anything. Failure. I will fail my way to success. See, 8 out of 10 millionaires have been financially bankrupt. 85% of people allow their fear of failure to outweigh their desire to succeed. And I believe that the reason that most people go so far in life and stop, Maya Angelou said it best. She wrote a poem, she said that most people go so far in life and then they park. They pull off the highway of life, especially when they get some hits, especially when they've been rejected, especially if they have an illness, especially if they lose something. They park. And I take it further. They don't even turn on their emergency lights. It's not because they are broken down. They don't want anybody to stop and say, hey, look here, I've got some jumping cables in my trunk. You need a jump? Hey, look here, there's a service station ahead about 3 or 4 miles. I have a can. I can take you up there and get some gasoline. Oh, no, I'm just fine. I had a talk show once, and highest rated, fastest canceled talk show in the history of television. And I was excited. You know, when time I came into television years ago, television was based upon conflict and controversy. So I said, I want a solution-oriented talk show. First concept of that kind. High ratings. And the syndicators say, you just got lucky. Come on, let's do these other type of shows. You can be Jerry Springer. Oh, no, that's not why I came here. No, I believe that we live in the greatest country. I'm not going to come here and sell out on who I am. I'm not going to compromise. I'm not going to lower my standards for you. No, that's not why I showed up. And so they fired me. Security walked him out. I said, I can walk by myself. But let me tell you what happened. I took a hit. And I parked. It wasn't that I didn't have the ability to do more. My concept was good. But what happened when I took the hit, when they canceled the show, I canceled myself. When they said the show is going to be taken off television, it won't work, I told myself, Les, you can't succeed in television. And I parked. You know what I did? I went back to my comfort zone as a motivational speaker. I'm doing better than most people. That's nothing to compare yourself and then make yourself feel better. No, I parked. I didn't have my emergency lights on. I didn't want to show up on the radar. I parked. You know how long I parked? I parked for 10 years. Do you hear me? Now, unlike Regis Philbin, when his shows were canceled, he kept going. He kept going. He kept going. And he got other shows. I bet you somebody gave him a push. Somebody said, hey, you need a lift. I didn't even make that an option for me. I got off the highway, I went back to my comfort zone, and I parked. The show failed, and I identified myself as a failure. One day, just flipping the channels, looking at PBS, and saw Wayne Dyer, my friend Wayne Dyer. We're both in our 60s. Wayne is still doing it. I said, hey, I've got some more stuff in me. I've got another PBS special in me. I've got some other ideas. You know, Oprah and Phil, they're doing my stuff. Maybe I need to come back out here. And I went back and started calling PBS and different people. They said, Les, what happened to you? I said, I didn't know whether or not anybody would be interested in me because the show was canceled. No, you had some good ideas. And when they said, yeah, we'd love to do a show with you, I went into the studio and people that worked with 10 years ago, they were still there. And I said, guys, you know, do you guys still have it? I said, we have it. Do you have it? I said, I think so. And I did the show, and I wasn't as good as I was 10 years ago. It's taking me some time to get my strength back, to find my power, to get my confidence back. But at least I'm back out there in the game, determined to dry empty. So I say to you, see, I only attract millionaires or millionaires in training. You have something special. You have greatness within you. And the only reason you're here, you are my assignment. You can feel me. Some of you feel me right here in your heart of hearts. And my goal is to get past your mind and into your heart. So it's necessary that you have the mindset that I can do this. You've got to begin to believe and to fortify that belief and feed that belief by listening to tapes, going to seminars and workshops, by challenging yourself, by stretching yourself. It was Osborne who said, unless you attempt to do something beyond that which you've already mastered, you will never grow. And as you begin to challenge yourself, you'll discover some things about yourself that you don't know right now. The other thing is you begin to look at yourself, look at your dreams, and begin to experiment and stepping into your greatness. One of the things that's very important, whatever goals and dreams that you have, make your move before you're ready. Make your move before you're ready. We're instructed in life to walk by faith and not by sight. See, you want to really begin to stretch yourself. You want to become a risk taker. You want to raise the bar on yourself. Most people won't do that. See, most people engage in low life living, low risk living. If you're not willing to risk, you cannot grow. And if you cannot grow, you cannot become your best. And if you cannot become your best, you can't be happy. And if you can't be happy, then what else is there? I like what Helen Keller said, life is short and unpredictable. Eat the dessert first. And so you want to begin to take some chances. You want to begin to challenge yourself and make it okay to fail and learn from your failures. Don't allow fear of failure and the allure, the attractiveness of playing it safe in life to draw you in. You can't get out of life alive. You've got to die to leave here. Other thing is you look at yourself, look at your dreams, detoxify your life. Write that down. See, I think that most people never achieve their true goals in life because they're surrounded with too many toxic, negative, energy-draining people. You've got to look at the people in your life and ask yourself the question, what is this relationship doing to me? How is it impacting my life? Am I a better person? Sidney Poitier wrote a book called The Measure of a Man. And it's powerful, but I encourage you to get the tapes. I love his voice, and he said something in there. He said, when you go for a walk with someone, something happens unconsciously. It's not spoken. Either you adjust to their pace or they adjust to your pace. Whose pace have you adjusted to? My daughter, Ona Brown, who's a speaker and coach, she says, call forth your team, but make sure these are people that you can learn from. I'll never forget, I'm on a special board with a Bishop T.D. Jakes, and we went into a board meeting. He looked at everybody before opening the meeting. He said, as soon as I know as much as you do, you're fired. And with that, the meeting is now open. Everybody continued to learn on that board. Trust me that a friend of mine, he said, if you're the smartest one in your group, you need to get a new group. So as you look at yourself and look into the future, call forth your team. George Fraser says your network determines your net worth. Who do you allow to be in your ear? What kind of relationships are you developing? Are they an asset to you or they're a liability? Do they elevate your spirits or do they tear you down? I think of two types of people, nourishing people and toxic people. Nourishing people, they bring the best out of you. They encourage you, they inspire you, they hold you accountable. Toxic people, they are critical people, always telling you what you can't do. They're always measuring your possibilities based upon their failures. My mother said, never let anybody tell you what you can't do, son, especially if they haven't done it. They don't know what's possible for you. So as you begin to look at yourself, begin to identify the relationships that you communicate with most and say, hey, is this relationship helpful to me? And then think about some people that you need to bring into your life that you can learn from, that you can grow from. I joined the National Speakers Association when I decided that I wanted to speak. I wanted to be around the people that were doing what I wanted to do. I'll never forget when I saw Dr. Norman Vincent Peale. He said, You have something special. You have greatness within you. And you can do more than you can ever begin to imagine. And here I am in the audience said, oh my goodness. I'd read The Power of Positive Thinking 17 times. My hero. And I saw him backstage and I said, Dr. Peel, hi, my name is Les Brown. I've listened to your tapes and I've read your books. They gave them to us in special education, sir. And one day I would love to be on stage with you. And he looked at me and said, it's possible, young man. It's possible. But this man, when he spoke, he gave me goose pimples. Deep baritone voice spoke from his diaphragm. You have something special. You have greatness within you. He override the inner conversations in my mind. I'll never forget a gentleman. What a brilliant man, a Harvard graduate, Dr. Carter G. Woodson. He said, if you can determine what a man shall think, you never have to concern yourself with what he will do. If you can make a man feel inferior, you never have to compel him to seek an inferior status, for he will seek it himself. And if you can make a man feel justly an outcast, never have to order him to go to the back door. He'll go without being told. And if there's no door, his very nature will demand one. See, we live in a world where we're told more about our limitations rather than our potential. How many of you have ever been told that you couldn't do something? MIT did a study that if I say to you, you can't do that 16 people have to come along and say, you can do that, you can do that, you can do that, to neutralize that. And the 17th statement that you hear, you can do it, will be the one that will finally stick. So you have to watch who's speaking into you. You've got to begin to monitor your mind. And you've got to begin to literally be proactive in programming yourself to success. Be ye not conformed to this world. Be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. You've got to take responsibility to make that happen. And as you begin to do that, you'll begin to see some incredible changes in your life. I understand now when Earl Nightingale said, all of us are self-made, but only the successful will admit it. As you begin to look at your dreams and look at your goals, make know you're a vitamin. See, most people stop short of their dreams and park and get off the highway of life because of the rejections of life. You will always be rejected. It's no big deal. Jack Canfield said rejection is a myth. Get excited about the no. Why? Because every time someone says no, that brings you another step to a yes. You're getting closer. Trust me, you will win if you don't quit. You will win if you don't quit. Even a broke clock is right twice a day. The other thing is, as you look at yourself and look at your goals and look at your dreams, assess yourself. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? What do you bring to the table? When I looked at becoming a motivational speaker, I looked at all the speakers and I noticed that they were pretty much scripted. So I said, what is it that can make me stand out? I don't have any college education. I don't have any credentials. I never worked for a major corporation. What is it I can do to offset my weaknesses? Mr. Washington, Mr. Brown, yes, sir. What do you want to do with your life? I want to become successful. Good. He said, you must be willing to do the things today others won't do in order to have the things tomorrow others won't have. That's why you said you have something special. See, very few people go to seminars and workshops. They'll go to a concert, but showing up to get something that can expand their minds and help them to begin to see their lives differently, to give them a larger vision of themselves, they'll be too busy. Or they say, well, how much does it cost? Well, information costs, but it pays for itself. It's possible you can live your dream. It's necessary that you have the mindset that I'm going to do this. But you've got to take ownership. You've got to decide, hey, I'm going to do this. You've got to take responsibility for your life. George Bernard Shaw said, the people that make it in this life, they look around for the circumstances that they want, and if they can't find them, they create them. You've got to decide, it's me. You've got to say, and say this with conviction, I expect to win.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me ask you a question. Have you ever looked around and wondered why some people seem to break through barriers while the majority stay stuck in the same place year after year? Why is it that only 2% of people are living the lives they dreamed of, while 98% settle for less? I'll tell you a story. A young man once stood in front of his high school class and was told by his teacher, "You'll never amount to much. You're slow. You're not smart enough. Maybe you should just settle." That boy carried those words in his chest like a weight. Every time he wanted to dream, those words pulled him back down. Until one day, he realized something. Those words were not the truth. They were someone else's opinion, not his destiny. That young man rose up, fought through fear, pushed past failure, and built a life beyond imagination. But here's the real truth. He wasn't special. He wasn't born with silver spoons. connections, or guarantees. What separated him from the 98% wasn't luck. It was mindset, decisions, and unshakable determination. So tonight, I want to take you on a journey into why 2% of people rise and 98% don't. A journey that's not about this, about you. Because as you sit here listening, you have a choice to be counted among the many who settle or the few who rise. The difference begins in the mindset. The battlefield of life doesn't start in the boardroom, the office, or the streets. It starts in the mind. The 98%, they wake up every day with one thought: survival. They say, let me just get through the day. Let me make it to Friday. Let me pay my bills. They live reacting to life, not creating it. Their minds are filled with fear, doubt, and the whispers of failure that someone planted in them years ago. But the 2%, they think differently. They see the same problems, the same challenges, the same uncertainties. But they think in terms of possibilities. Where most people see obstacles, they see opportunities. Where most people see endings, they see beginnings. Let me ask you something. What's the conversation happening in your head every morning? Because make no mistake, your life is shaped not by the words of others, but by the dialogue you have with yourself. I've met people who had all the resources, all the advantages, and still failed. And I've met people who had nothing, no money, no support, no encouragement, yet they rose. The difference wasn't circumstance, the difference was mindset. You see, the 2% wake up and say, this is my life. I'm not waiting for someone to save me. I'm not waiting for permission. I'm going to own this day, this moment, this opportunity. They live in the arena of action, not excuses. Now here's the hard truth. It's not easy, because when you decide to shift your mindset, everything around you will fight back. The old voices in your head will remind you of your failures. Your friends will say, you've changed. Your family may not understand. Fear will grip you. But here's what separates the 2%. They do it anyway. They feel the fear and they move forward. They hear the doubts and they choose belief. They see the mountain and they take the first step anyway. Mindset is not about pretending life is easy. It's about deciding that no matter how hard it gets, you will not quit. And let me tell you something powerful. When you change your mind, you change your life. The 98% think success is about luck, talent, or opportunity. But the 2% know it starts with mastering their thoughts. Because thoughts become words, words become actions, actions become habits, and habits create destiny. So, the first secret is this: if you want to be in the 2%, you've got to guard your mind like a treasure chest. Feed it with possibility. Protect it from negativity. Train it like a muscle. And when the world tells you no, let your mind be the place where you answer back with was. Because success doesn't begin out there. It begins in here. And that's why only 2% rise, while 98% stay stuck. The difference begins in the mindset. When you look at the lives of the 2% who succeed and the 98% who don't, the line that separates them is invisible to the eye, but undeniable in reality. It's the mindset. Everything in life rises and falls on the way you think. The 98% live in survival mode. They wake up and their first thought is, I just need to make it through the day. I just need to pay these bills. I just need to hold on. Their mindset is wrapped in limitation, scarcity, and fear. But the 2%, they live in possibility. They wake up with the belief that today is an opportunity, today is a gift, and no matter what happens, they are going to use it to move one step closer to their vision. That's why mindset is the first battleground of success. Think about this. Two people can stand in front of the same mountain. One says, it's too high. It's too dangerous. It's impossible. The other looks at the same mountain and says, it's going to be tough. But if I take one step at a time, I'll make it to the top. Same mountain, same obstacles. The difference is in the mind. That difference creates an entirely different outcome in life. Most people think success starts with money, connections, or talent. But I've seen people who had all the advantages and still failed because their minds were trapped in limitation.
Greatness is built one step at a time. Keep moving forward. We appreciate you watching our video to the end. Creating these videos takes a lot of passion and dedication, and your support makes it all worthwhile. If this video inspired you, make sure to subscribe and stay on this journey with us. Your encouragement helps us continue delivering top quality videos just for you. Together, let's make life epic.